Right, so we here in the building. Yeah, so apparently, as I look through the internet, as I surf through the internet, I see the Pan-Africanist spaces are crashing out. And they are unifying in terms of content. They all realize they gotta talk about FBAs in order to be relevant. That regular Pan-African talk just don't go on our views. Nobody pulls up. So they mention FBA in the topic because the only people who will pull up is just us. Not even other Pan Africanists show support to the FBA hatred, the hate speech. Yeah, but I noticed like wow, a lot of these and like it's channels that just started yesterday. 30 subscribers and their first video is something about ADOS, FBA, Tariq Nasheed, Yvette Carnell, somebody else in these spaces as a spokesperson. Somebody like, damn, you got 30 subscribers, and your first video is about us FBAs. Crazy work. So, one long hater, you know, who long term haters, what I mean, who's always been hating on Tariq Nasheed for the longest, because again, he felt like this one hater felt like he studied under these black elders, these babas and elders, and he always felt like he should have been next because you didn't sit under the feet of these elders. He did. Yeah, but buddy, they didn't set you up correctly. Matter of fact, you was learning, but that don't make you a teacher like them. You're just a permanent student. That's all. Everybody not built to be a teacher and get before the people and talk and captivate people interests, minds, and attention. That ain't built for that. That ain't for everybody. You got to be good at that. They got to be an internal skill, you know. But anyway, as we proceed to give you what you need, peace to Pinky Wells. I am sixth, Salita Marie in the building early, 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 early. We got Christ is a Black Man. Without us in the title, there is no, yeah, you got to see these guys. I mean, they got 30 subscribers and we're the first video. So I'm like, hey, let me help you out. Join my podcast, right? We ain't gonna come to check you out, and we shouldn't. We got to stop that. Let them come over here. If you stop at their podcast for any reason, it should be, hey, visit Unbiased Ron, his FBA News and Updates. Go over there. You know, you know how I do. The Mountain Dew guy, all these guys. Content is dry if they're not talking about us. So what I do, I invite all of them. Some come. You see, Pan African James, he came. Some come, some don't. Because I got a catchphrase. They love, 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 love to talk about us, but they hate, hate, hate to talk to us directly because they know a lot of that bullshit would be challenged. Kiel Hall, peace to you. All right, so let's get into this hater right here. This no old hater hating on Tariq Nasheed, and by default, we get it because he's jealous of Tariq. He always felt like he should have been there in that position Tariq is in, and Tariq shouldn't have been there. Just, I mean, a weird, obsessive hater. Low key zesty. Okay, so here we go. Let's present some of his arguments. So his video is entitled, let me show you this crazy title. This is a bold title right here. Okay, there it is. Foundational Black Americans don't know law. I mean, who can say that? Like, how can I? Like, I don't care how much I disagree with the conservative talking points. How can I make a bold blanket statement and say they all can't or don't do something? Like educationally, it's different if I'm talking about in genetics, athleticism, something like that. But educationally, why would I say people can't learn something? So we none of us know about law, but he knows about law. So he's going to demonstrate, and I'm going to point out his flaws in the law. Ain't that ironic? He made a whole video to explain how we don't know law, and all he did was expose himself that he doesn't know law. All right, so I'll start you over here. Crazy.
I showed how they are anti-constitutional. What they're asking for can't be given because the Constitution prohibits. So,
My fault.
so I'll go through this real quick because I talked about it and I'm
Wait,
gonna
wait, wait, wait,
continue.
wait. Before I do that, let me just go over what I went over earlier when I drew the comparison between um, FBA introduced by Tariq Nasheed and African American introduced by Jesse Jackson in the 1990s, right? So I want you to read along with me. This time I'm gonna share my screen. This is Microsoft Word, right? And we're gonna read it together. We're gonna learn together. Shit. Okay. Okay. So right here, I made this table. So key similarities between Jesse Jackson and Tariq Nasheed. Okay, so we got the categories. Here's the motivation. So we got 1988, 2019 motivation, Jesse Jackson dignity, cultural recognition, global link. Tariq Nasheed motivation, lineage justice, reparations, identity, sovereignty. Category type of identity, cultural, continental, Africa plus American. Tariq's type of identity, lineage-based, U.S. slavery descendants only. Catalyst for name change. Jesse Jackson says transition from black or Negro to ethnic clarity. So he wants to leave black. That's why a lot of these guys hate the black in there. Catalyst for name change for Tariq Nasheed. Frustration with Pan-African dilution of foundational black American identity. Criticism received. Accused of pandering or inventing identity. Tariq accused of division, xenophobia, or rebranding racism. Strategic use, diplomacy, cultural pride, media adoption. Media took on African American and signal boost the hell of it. So ain't that crazy? They call us the op boys or op girls, the op lineage, when the media promoted African American. It didn't promote FBA. Anyway, strategic use for FBA, reparations, eligibility, self definition. Go ahead. Okay, go. Self definition and gatekeeping. Okay, can we get this fan? You go lay down. You go. This one. Mhm. All right. So media reaction, positive, African American, positive with minor pushback. Media loved it, ate it up. What about FBA? Polarized. Supporters embraced it, critics mocked or smeared it. Media was like, it just ignored it, didn't even talk about it. Legacy building, changed textbooks, added African American, and official forms. Yep, when you fill out something, it's going to say African American on there, right? Taking the sheet, influence reparations, language, cultural awareness. Okay, now, there you go. Now, nothing here you read where lawfully, legally African American was on the books. People just lie. Okay, so Jesse Jackson introduced African American the same way Tariq introduced FBA. Just made an announcement and when public support. African American did not get public support. It got media support. FBA, ADOS got grassroots support. Big difference there. Okay, let's talk about the double standard. So, why is it hypocritical to accept African American but not FBA? Both are constructed labels. Jesse created African American. It wasn't handed down through centuries. yet it's widely accepted, so brand new at the time. Tariq coined FBA to reflect a modern need. The logic is identical. So Tariq come up with FBA, the logic is identical for Jesse Jackson to come up with African American. If you accept African American coined in 1988 and rejecting FBA coined in 2019 for being new is intellectually dishonest. So they always say, "Oh, my grandmother didn't call themselves FBA." Well, your grandmother definitely didn't call herself African American. They both were new labels. Okay. Anyway, lineage-based identity. African American suggests commonality with all African people, but FBA history is rooted in a unique American experience. You see, this was for all African people around the world. We said, nope, you have to be enslaved on U.S. soil. Your ancestors have had to fight in the Civil War, bye bye Liberians, survived Jim Crow and redlining, built U.S. culture, blues, jazz, hip hop, etc. African immigrants may share melanin, so that they use black as a descriptor, color, adjective, but not the same lineage based injury. That's how, so we use black for this proper noun. Big B. They are little b's. So FBA is reparations centered. African American doesn't filter who qualifies for redress. African American doesn't filter who qualifies for redress, reparations. Anybody can just come over here and make a claim. FBA explicitly defines the justice claim group based on ancestry, like Native American tribal roles or Japanese internment descendants. Lineage is a legal tool, not a cultural insult, fool. While Tariq's FBA framework is logical in the 21st century, Black Americans now face resource competition with other immigrants, African immigrants, media over representation of non FBA voices in Black spaces, diluted political agendas in POC or Pan African frameworks. FBA fixes these concerns by anchoring identity to U.S. soil and labor, clarifying the reparations claimants, reducing misrepresentation in politics and media, so it's not divisive, is precise. Final thought. Jesse Jackson wanted a name that honored Black Americans' roots, and so does Tariq Nasheed. The only difference is geography versus genealogy. If people cheer Jesse Jackson's African American but reject Tariq's FBA, they're not defending unity, they're defending control. Identities should serve justice, and FBA is rooted in justice, not just pride. Tethers and Pan Africanists, take that. Take that. Okay. All right. Let's see who's in the building. Carlos Magus, Andre Townsend pulled up. Ricardo Flop pulled up. All right. So let's get busy. This is late live. Let's go.
The foundational Black Americans do not know law. You are illiterate in law.
Damn.
This is really a critique of the foundational Black American lineage-based reparations under the Equal Protection Clause. Everybody read. Don't trust me. Just read what I say and go and check it. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. No state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This constitutional mandate requires that government action treat similarly situated individuals equally, and is explicitly bars the arbitrary, and you are arbitrary, use of classifications such as race or ancestry for the allocation or denial of benefits or burdens. You are arbitrary. You don't have anything written. You don't have a plan. You are arbitrarily using classification a conclusion prohibited by the 12B6 motion to dismiss.
All right, so let's respond to that. So he says FBA reparations are unconstitutional under the Equal Protection Clause. Race or ancestry can't be used to allocate benefits. That's what he's saying. First of all, the Equal Protection Clause does not ban race conscious remedies entirely. It requires strict scrutiny, not total prohibition. Precedents like Grutter versus Bollinger, 2003, allowed race based policies if narrowly tailored to a compelling interest. Ancestry based claims are not solely race based. Full FBA claims are tied to specific historical harms, not just being black. So reparations are not handouts, they are targeted redress for state acknowledged harm, similar to Japanese American internment reparations, Civil Liberties Act of 1988. But let the fool go on and embarrass himself.
Plausibility statute, case law, right? By using race and ancestry. You can't do that.
And we're not doing it.
Now, how the courts perceive this is in the last reparations case, the Pelham Farmer reparation case.
All right, now he's going to terribly misrepresent the Farmer Pelham case, which he normally does. And I believe this guy is just relying on 30-year-old research. He's not updating. His ego won't let him read up on what he thought was true. So look how he grossly misrepresent the Farmer Pelham case.
Judge Posner, in his decision to dismiss the last reparations case, said to you, the injury to the plaintiff's ancestors is not an injury to the plaintiffs. The wrongs done to someone else, even an ancestor, are not actionable claims for the descendant in federal court unless the descendant can show concrete injury to himself as a result of the defendant's conduct. You don't know how to read law, you don't understand it, so let me just break it down to you.
Damn.
A harm to your ancestors is not a harm to you.
Uh-oh.
Unless you could prove concrete, plausible evidence that you were harmed.
And we can't do that.
So anybody who's smart knows that simply lineage should not be in the argument. What should be in the argument is concrete harm. Now, Judge Posner, normally a pretty liberal federal judge, right? Pretty liberal. But one thing he did is that he actually read from his understanding of the Constitution, and he became kind of sarcastic. And you know, his sarcasm wasn't really in a mean way, but it sounds mean. He was just trying to tell, if you're going to do it, you better do it the right way. Right? So now he starts to, you know, I don't know if some of your grandparents use snuff, you know, tobacco snuff, and they have a spit can. Well, he began to sniff, and then he began to spit. He said more. Judge Posner wrote extensively on the issues of ancestry and lineage. You silly FBAs. In the context of reparations. Here are the expanding the most relevant portions of his opinions in regarding African American slave descendants litigation. The case number 471 F33 F3D 7.
I don't know why folks call me this late. They know damn well they ain't gonna get through not on 10 o'clock.
5-4 7th Circuit, right? Right, basically in Illinois. All that to one side. He just dismissed anything about lineage-based reparations. There's a federal disconnect between the victims and the plaintiffs. When a person is wrong and he can seek redress, and if he wins, his descendants may benefit. But the wrong to the ancestor is not a wrong to the descendants. For if it were, then problems of proof to one side, statutes of limitations would be toothless.
All right, let me just cut that real fast. All right, so he references Judge Posner in the former Pelham case dismissing lineage claims. He says harm to your ancestors is now harm to you. You heard the old man say that, right? The old fool say that. However, the former Pelham case was dismissed on procedural grounds, not the legitimacy of reparations themselves. Again, it was dismissed on procedural grounds, not the legitimacy of reparations themselves. So legal standing can be achieved if plaintiffs demonstrate intergenerational economic injury, which we can do. Precedents exist. Japanese internment victims, Holocaust survivors, they're not dead, and native tribes have all used lineage plus harm based evidence. What is this old man talking about? FBA claimants, us, we're not arguing for generic ancestral harm, but systematic injury continuing today, e.g., redlining, Jim Crow, housing restrictions, stolen land, racial wealth gap, directly traceable. We can easily prove that. But let the man continue. I think I don't know if he's white or not. I think he might be white, the guy speaking. He's like supposedly like black, but white. I don't know what he is.
A person
That's my fault.
whose ancestors have been wronged 1,000 years ago could sue on the ground that he was committing continuing wrong and he is one of the victims. Now that's where he spat, because this issue is not 1,000 years. This issue is roughly 150,
Donnie,
200 years.
American
But
Peace,
he was being sarcastic.
American Ninja.
He's saying that if you are individually wrong, you can there's courses and causes of action in law for you. But if you want to deal with a class action suit, right? If you well, he's going to later talk about class action suits, but he's basically saying that just a mere you claiming that your ancestor was wrong is not a wrong to you.
That's not
So
what's
don't
happening.
bring in any of that post-traumatic syndrome babble without evidence. I'm not saying we don't have post-traumatic slave syndrome.
A family. The FBA Holy Codex said it yesterday. These folks are supposedly FBA, but they will delete us to preserve Africans who don't give a damn if we're deleted or not. Like they have this sick worship for Africans in Africa. It's unbelievable, man. They will get rid of their own lineage to preserve another lineage who don't give a damn that they got rid of their own lineage. These guys are sick. These are these Hotepers, these Egypt African bangers. They're sick, man. They're sick. They have this sick love for Africa. That I mean, it's just sick.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if you can't prove it with evidence, right? You can't prove it with evidence, then it has no teeth.
Dr. Black Nation's son. I'm not missing a point. Matter of fact, let me give you the link. Let me see. I mean, you just. I mean, I'm not even done. I'm not even done rebutting everything he said. But since you want to try to correct me, let me get a link because I know the speaker of this video will never call in and get cooked. But you can try to defend him. That link is for Dr. Black Native's son. Okay, he said, I think you're missing his point. He's saying you must have no, you're missing my point. The point of the video is that he's saying we don't know law. I'm rebutting his claims. You don't? Do you get that? So I'm pointing out that he doesn't know law, and everything he's saying we can't do, we actually can do. So what you just said is stupid. So click that link. Renaissance woman. There you go. So click that link, and I want you to show how my rebuttal is wrong and what he said is right. Click the link. It's right there. Uh, yeah, you just made that shit up. Neither one of you can defend what you just said. As a matter of fact, yeah, but the link's there. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna time you out until you click the link. I'll time you out for half. I see. We don't do that over here. Weird guy, Dr. Black Native Son. I don't allow people to challenge me in the chat and don't click the link. So you're timed out for half an hour. And if you challenge me again, don't click the link, you'll be done for 24 hours, 10 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, I do not allow that. I do not allow people to try to show me out, but don't want to click the link and directly contact me. Peace. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Peace. Peace to you.
Then he, you know how you hog spit? But the causal change is too long and has too many weak links, like FBA people. For a court to be able to find that the defendant's conduct harmed the plaintiffs at all, let alone in an amount that could be estimated without the wildest speculation. It is impossible to determine how much, if any less, slavery there would have been had the defendants not done business with slave owners. Right? What effect a diminution of slavery would have had on bequests by ancestors of the class members. That's where he's talking about class action suit, and how much of the value of those bequests would have trickled down to the class members. So he's attacking here the causes of action that the plaintiffs and Pellman Farmer
Which is stupid.
said about the
And I already debunked that. So let me go further. And this is why old buddy's not going to click the link. Okay, so Brother Reggie said you need to show harm based evidence, not lineage. So this is for the fool I just timed out and this old man talking. FBA, brother, no other. We're not choosing between lineage and harm. We're saying both. FBA means we descend from those enslaved in the U.S. and we continue to face legacy harms. Expert economists like William Darity have mapped the harm using intergenerational wealth analysis, homeowner data, and discriminatory policies is already done, fool, that specifically targeted descendants of slaves, e.g., GI Bill exclusion, New Deal, redlining. So you're a fool. That's why you didn't click the link. You know better.
the relationship
Yeah, you
between
would think you'll wait till I'm done before you say I'm wrong or find a hole. Like I just started the video. You're not that dumb.
business owners and slaves, and it's impossible to determine how much less, right, of slavery would have occurred, right, because they did not, let's say, plead sufficiently for that, right? Now, so he hog spits. So he warns you that class action suits, you're gonna have a burden of proving stuff. And then he snips again, you know. And again, if there was a legal wrong, it would not be a wrong to any living person unless they somehow they were somehow the authorized representatives to bring suits on behalf of their enslaved ancestors. With some exceptions to be noted, the plaintiffs are suing to redress harms to third parties, their ancestors, without being authorized to.
So listen to what he's saying without being authorized. Listen to what he's saying, fool, so you know what I'm rebutting. Listen to what he's saying, and you'll know what I'm rebutting.
Sue on behalf of their parties. So now he's bringing in other latches in law and other, which deals with. So you want to be the plaintiff for your ancestors, right? You the plaintiff, right? Do you have any authorization that you are the legal representative of the person?
Okay, so you heard that? He said we can't sue on behalf of our ancestors. He said because we don't have legal authorized representation. I'm going to debunk that. Right. So before you run your mouth, you need to know what I'm debunking. I'm saying he's lying. You're saying I'm missing his point. Then that means he's not lying. So I'm saying represent his argument. Click the link and represent his argument. I'm saying he's lying. I'm saying he's wrong. You're saying he's right. Click the link. Let's find out. He said we can't sue on behalf of our ancestors without being legally authorized. Watch this.
That you are claiming to be harmed? Do you have any access to the estate?
You heard
Right?
him?
Did the rest of your family agree that you were that you could be the plaintiff? Now that happens today
So the rest of the family must agree, he said.
with land and accident injury, where someone jumps up and says that I'm the legal representation, and the courts say, you gotta contact all your family members,
So he's talking about probate court claims, right?
and they got to sign off on you. And some of you been involved in personal injury and real estate and probate,
See?
right? Courts make you and your families decide on who the proper plaintiff is, but you don't know that.
Oh, we do know that. So he said basically we can't sue on behalf of our ancestors without being legally authorized. He says probate law requires a family sign off. Okay. This is what he's missing. Reparations are not equal to probate court claim. No estate execution is required to qualify for public redress. Reparations don't require you to sue on behalf of grandma. Individually, they require a class definition, which Congress or state legislators can establish through law, e.g., H.R. 40 proposes this. H.R. 40 proposes this. We already got that covered. So this argument, his argument, misunderstands public policy redress versus private tort law. He's confusing and don't understand public policy redress, that's what we're doing, versus private tort law. He's a fool. If you think somebody's missing his point, you're a fool too. Let's go on.
Uh, FBA people, you don't know that. You'll have no idea. Most of you, what are you, 36, 37 years old, right? You think you're grown. You haven't been through life, right? You don't know this. You
We
don't know
got a
law.
Katarian.
Then he goes, so you're
We got a Satchel Ohio.
you are uh I want to say beach
Oh, that's a Katarian. Avatarians.
child, and if I say B child, the BA child, right? You know, the one that might have been born out of wedlock, you know, the one that never went to any family reunions, you know, the one that slung drugs, you know, them groups. You're gonna represent great granddaddy, great grandmama. You are, huh? Right? You just got out of prison, right? But you're gonna be the one, right? So he's warning us against problems that the courts will see on us. Now, it says, suppose a class member could prove that he was a descendant from one of the slaves insured by Aetna or transported by the Union Pacific
What is he
Railroad,
reading? A bunch
another
of lies?
defendant, or bought with money lent to the buyer by the predecessor of the J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, still another defendant, and that these transactions were illegal, and that the descendants of the slaves are among the people whom the laws were intended to protect. He's like, suppose
Nobody call me again. think my screen frozen.
Suppose, I'm gonna give you this. Had he not been insured or transported or bought with a bank loan, how would the financial welfare of his remote descendants, you, be affected? Would that ancestor have been freed or perhaps never enslaved in the first place? As the plaintiff stressed, slavery was profitable. Yeah, it was. It is conceivable that slaveholders would have been unable to insure, transport, and finance the purchase of slaves if northern companies had been excluded from the provision of the service or had refused to violate their state's laws that sought to keep them from providing their services. Here, Posner is helping us in harm based,
I don't know what he's reading,
right? But he's telling you all the things that you have to prove,
which is garbage.
right? He's actually telling you all the things that you have to prove. You have to be the descendant that can prove these things. So that you better have the records to
What?
make it plausible. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're grafting on to someone else.
What?
So here, Posner,
Okay. All right. So he basically saying you must show that your ancestor wouldn't have been enslaved without the defendant's conduct. All right, listen, family. This dude is a nut. He just got an obsession for FBAs, and he's trying to make us look dumb, and it just doesn't work. Okay, so what he is suggesting is an impossible legal standard, and courts do not require that the level of precision in historical harm. So when that fool doctor, whatever came in the chat, it's probably him. You're getting cooked, buddy. Um, the courts do not require that level of precision in historical harm. You don't got to be exact. Dot all I's and cross our T's. Fool. Harm is shown via patterns, not individual hypotheticals that he keep doing. And that's why affirmative action, civil rights, and other racial redress mechanisms exist. They address systemic injury, not person by person hypotheticals. So miss us with that. Carry on. Keep getting cooked.
is spitting on the ignorant. And then he gives us a clue,
So he's saying this judge gave us a clue to do what?
a very important clue that he's not supposed to give us.
Uh-oh.
So he kind of put this needle in a haystack,
Mm-hmm.
but a needle nevertheless something that we could use against the system. What he did say is, can anybody see what he did say?
What?
Can
What do you
anybody
say?
say? Can anybody find the needle in a haystack?
Nah, because it's bull. Aspiring height, sure enough.
Yes. Yes. What he said was that,
Mm.
interestingly, you could
What?
prove that states were acting illegally against their own laws.
So if states, he said, we can prove that states acted illegally under their own laws. Interesting.
To be able to do that, you have to have some experience with law and understand when the judge is spitting on you, but he's really winking at you. Prove that the states
Okay, so now he's actually arguing our position, ADOS and a lot of folks that that defends this for us, that helps us with our claims. He's actually supporting us. He doesn't know he's stupid. I'm trying to be
that
nice.
still own slaves in the counties and the towns and the cities, that they were acting illegally by
Really.
violating the laws of the federal government.
Mm.
Then maybe there's a lesser burden on you.
Yeah.
So that's why you wouldn't use somebody from an FBA, but you
Okay.
would.
So this was a mistake. What he did was a mistake. That's why he's speaking so slow and retarded. He accidentally supported what we've been saying. Those and those who recognize themselves as FBA ADOS. Okay, watch this. If states like Mississippi or Alabama violated federal laws like the 13th or 14th Amendment, we can argue ongoing unconstitutional harm, especially where racist state laws persisted post slavery. And we know they did slavery by another name. So he just, yeah, of course we can prove that convict leasing, the peonage system, sharecropping, yeah, he just supported us and didn't even know. But this, this is when you're desperate.
Use someone like me
Nah,
and some of the people that I talk with on these boards.
that will pass.
You wouldn't use them. You would
Nah,
use someone like me is because
no.
2001, I testified in the
Buckhurst,
New
DC.
York City town hall on
Nah,
reparations.
we don't care about that.
One of the
We don't want
first
you.
in the country. They passed laws
Just get us more dumb
for
claims.
church meetings.
FBA, please. I know it's late. Natural beauty piece. Do me a favor and like the video. I know something is we ain't that deep tonight. It's late. 63 watching. Can we get these 63 live views? I mean live likes. Thank you. We got 39. All right. Let's get the lights up. Thank you very much.
They're sending you down a wrong way street, and the bad thing about it is, you know what the bad thing about it is?
Nah, we don't know.
You're with them.
Let's get past that.
Um,
Ad hominems.
there is no way to determine that a given Black American day is worth off by a specific calculatable sum, or it to uh, the ancestor that's claiming that. You better be, because that's why the reparations case was lost, because Pelman Farmer
Now you misrepresented that, buddy.
and the rest of them,
We already tackled that.
grandma justice, they don't want to hand out too much or too little. They want to hand it out to the right person, Lee, right? Then it is true that tolling doctrines can extend the time to sue well beyond the period of limitations.
Yeah, we already know that.
Will find itself in federal court, right? You're going to have to deal with this. Now, not you, FBAs, because you never.
Now look at the crazy stuff he about to say. This is somebody who's fighting to be the Papa, Prince of Pan-Africanism after Umar.
But told the people that what you're asking for is already illegal.
He said what we're asking for is already illegal. This dude is wild.
You are pleading wrong in law, and you don't have to ask, you don't have to listen to me.
We
Go
won't.
talk to some lawyers.
Yeah.
But you're not going to talk to any lawyers
Yes, you
because
will.
you're a loose based social media,
Are you doing that?
social boosting group of
What do you want?
people who are scamming.
Change that.
You're not going to talk to any lawyers at all. You're going to stay away from lawyers until you get pulled into court or the IRS comes to see you, right? And that's where any YouTuber pay
Dude,
your
you just said we're
taxes.
making an illegal claim.
But beyond that,
You just said our claim is illegal. I don't know if he gets that. You said our claim is illegal. Then you said, what lawyer did you talk to, buddy?
you have scammed our people because you never told them that what you're asking for, lineage-based reparations, not reparations, but lineage-based reparations, is already illegal.
You heard him right. He said it. He said lineage-based reparations are illegal.
Ancestry-based, just because an ancestor was enslaved. Now, you are too stupid. I'm not being nice to you.
All right, then I'm not gonna be nice.
Because I'm really not talking about the bulk of the people who joined the FBA movement, because
You
they don't.
can't join the FBA movement, bro. You're born into it. But carry on. Like I said, I don't know if this guy is white with a little melanin, or he's. I think he's like Arab. The dude that's talking. I think he's like an Arab, like a Libyan, like Gaddafi.
don't they trust the people who's talking to. I'm talking about your leaderships because I know that they're scamming, right? You that the fact of the matter is,
He said that lineage-based reparation claim is illegal.
do you know how many white people could qualify for reparations
Oh no, I don't know. Tell us.
because they had ancestors that were black? See, they
Mm-hmm.
can use that when they want to use it. So you know
Really?
about the $5 Indian,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, there will be tens of thousands of white folks who can point to one of their
I
ancestors
think Brother Reg is one of them. I'm telling you, if you ever seen how this guy look, he looked like Gaddafi.
who was a black person enslaved. And therefore, and so therefore they could be a foundational black American when they want to.
All
But
right.
your leaders haven't thought about that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But we
You're
have case law that deals with $5 Indians, right? When
okay.
casino
All right. So he said lineage-based reparations are illegal. White people can qualify with the $5 Indian thing, one black ancestor, and it'd be tens of thousands, 100,000 white folks in line collecting our reparation money. All right. So now you see how dumb he is. You can tell he don't go to the websites. Definitely not ADOS or whatever. So eligibility criteria can include. Listen closely, Arab guy. Eligibility criteria can include more than just one ancestor, buddy. Okay, our proponents have proposed multi generational residency, census proof, or affirmative legal test to exclude opportunities like yourself and $5 Indians. Reparations can be means tested and genealogically verified with modern tools and legal standards. You're done. You're done. You just say stupid stuff.
casinos became big, and we know that all of a sudden the Indians looked white Americans. Why?
Okay, let's get past
Because
this.
they could you want. Does anybody understand what I just said?
No.
When my brother says great grandparents, guess what?
Wait, wait.
I have a great eight challenge. Name your eight
So he says he has a great eight challenge.
grand Daddy Do 937. I have a great eight challenge. Name your eight
Roy G, peace. The holy
great grandparents.
FBA Codex, TV1 in the building.
Guess what? Some of them will turn out that the daddy is white.
Damon Grayson says the you're not black now. You ain't black when the check comes. Right, right. So what are you talking about, bro? Let me give Damon Lineage his. I meant to say Lineage. Let me give Damon Grayson his Lineage wrench. Make him a mod. Peace, family. We when been covered. This man, yeah, he's a dummy. Quentin Peace, One Nation, the Holy FBA Codex TV1. So Dennis Sperling don't know reparations is illegal. No lawyer that. Yeah, he's stupid. He just stupid.
But the mama's black, right?
So this is the great eight challenge. Let me go back. We
Great
gonna miss it.
eight challenge. Name your eight great
Hmm.
grandparents. Guess what? Some of them will turn out that the daddy is white, but the mama's black, right? Uh-huh. And that, or passing, or chose not to live as a black person, but chose to live as a white person,
Right.
right?
Yeah, we got something for that, buddy.
And that person will say that they are black Americans.
Really? Is that easy? So
Anybody?
so you don't think we thought about that? We protected the check from $5 white Indians, $5 white FBAs, and tethers, and Libyans like yourself.
Anybody watching? Anybody understand? Let me know if you understand what I just said.
Nah, it's too deep.
Because this is what happens in court for people who don't know law.
Right.
So let me just check my YouTube.
Yeah, check your YouTube. Ain't nobody watching. But you have about three
I'm
three
gonna check my
folks
YouTube to see if
listening.
I'm still on.
Yeah,
I
you
have
on.
no way unless I check YouTube.
Ain't nobody listening though. You
Unless
on though.
somebody
This was
says,
this was ignored. Yeah, about
okay,
three
I don't
folks
have too
in
many people
attendance.
watching, so that's why. So my last comment was Harris
Yeah,
Duncan.
it's stupid.
But that's okay, because when I finish with this, you will
Jaquan.
all know, right? Because I know that y'all don't want to hear this.
Yeah, folks really think they just could come up, concoct something, and just debunk us. Like they want that to be the truth so bad. DJ Biggs, peace. Who is he to post a challenge? Anyone should say, yeah, yeah. I thought about that. The Great Eight Challenge. Hey, ho. Speaking of challenge, let me challenge you guys to like the video. I just see no likes. I was like, oh no, they good now. Thank you. Yeah, the night crew the night crew is really on it. One Nation. I'm really starting to think Pan Africans are slow IQ. Yeah, you could tell by the dude from last night. He was a great example of a slow gases. V4 Vengeance says, wait, he says, Ron, the white people argument fails due to most white people have a black descendants from slavery. We're slaveholders, so you cannot benefit from both sides of the. Yeah, exactly. Stupid.
But I'm gonna give it to you nevertheless. So let's go
How
first.
you white your whole life benefiting from the things that we are suing against, like the GI Bill, HOLC, FHA 1934, zoning laws, restrictive covenants. They benefited from all that, but somehow they get to say, "Hey, we got a black descendant, so let's get that too." Like, stupid.
Further down. Now,
Fresh always.
ancestry can be construed in courts as a proxy for race. They will use as a substitution race, ancestry for race. Advocates of FBA lineage-based reparation structure benefits around specific ancestry, but courts have long recognized that classifications by lineage or descent are often proxies for race, and as such are typically treated no differently from explicit race-based classifications. Both approaches fall under the purview of strict scrutiny.
Wait, hold. Before we do that, he said we don't know our ancestry. He's gonna do the Great Eight Challenge, right? First of all, many of us do know or can pass that Great Eight Challenge. And guess what? Even if some of us can't, we have access to genealogical tools and historical census data that have made lineage identification possible. We're not tripping, buddy. Okay, so that is literally called an ad hominem fallacy. He just throwing shots. He's attacking education level or background. Okay, but check it out. Education level and background doesn't disqualify a group's constitutional claim to injury. It don't matter how smart you are. Like when you get an email about Wells Fargo did some BS and they want you to see if you are tied in there, they don't say, "Hey, what's 5 plus 5?" If you don't get that right, then you can't be part of this class action lawsuit. That's not how it works. But let's talk about this scrutiny stuff.
Typically treated no differently from explicit race-based classifications. Both approaches fall under the purview of strict scrutiny, the
Uh-oh.
most rigorous form of judicial review,
Strict
which
scrutiny.
requires governments to demonstrate a compelling interest in a remedy precisely tailored to serve the interests without overreach or arbitrary exclusion. For example, the Supreme Court's decision in
Yeah, I don't think it's FBA. I
Adirondack
think the dude Arab.
Constructors versus Pena
Number one switchblade
affirmed
piece.
that
Crystal
any
Watson.
governmental racial classification is
Hold on. The Holy FBS Codex TV one said, "Why is he trying to discourage us from reparations?" I don't. Yeah, just don't try it, fellas. He wants to follow him. Before Vengeance says, so Reggie Dumbass is saying we have black descendant because our white ancestors produced a child classified as black and still held in slavery by the family, and now we can sue for holding the slave. I think Africans can do it. Can't do it. Now they can't. And or they have trouble. Show enough said he doesn't even have his own opinion or research, literally reading a document while skipping most of the text to insert his spur of the moment thought right. And he didn't even like vet this document. It's straight garbage, by the way. Number one Switchblade says peace and love and reparations. Family P1. Uh, we got Avatarians 2.0 says Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanist is a racist group that worked with the K's in the past. Yep. Which is why FBI kicked out Marcus Garvey and half Jamaican. I think he's full Jamaican. In Ghana lineage. I don't know his background. Edward Wilmot Biden and Igbo was the co-founder. Aspirant Height says most of FBA's history about slavery and the American wars are in the depth of the defense and government files online. One Nation says Reggie's slow as molasses. Yeah, he's not bright. Braxton, the snake fiend, says evening, sir, evening to you. He reads like one of those Hebrew Israelites picking to read it again.
Subject to strict scrutiny regardless of his aims. Now, with you FBAs, because you are not in court, you will never be in court on this issue. Nobody will use your BS,
yeah, we just done.
Right, in law, because you've already helped misdirect some states with this lineage-based stuff, and they have all lost, and it's cost millions and millions of dollars in legal fees that could have went to schools and cleaning up our streets and medical care, housing and food. You already messed that up. Okay, so let's see what I got. Somebody. Smithsonian is a white institution who purchased African exhibits. You can't tell them what to do with their purchases. The President POTUS, the President of the United States, right? The only institution that can print, and that will immediately contradict the equal.
Okay, he just rambling.
The Constitution
wait, back
clause.
Up. He's back reading.
State Supreme Courts. They could do that, so they can rearrange it, take it off of displays.
Okay, now he's passed.
Supreme Courts. Power by bringing the military into Washington, D.C. And it wasn't stopped.
All right, let's go, man.
On a
in June, number 9, peace.
Race, right? And that will immediately contradict the equal the Constitution clause, right? The equal protection clause. Because now you're offering, because you've done that, you've saying that one race should be good benefits over another race. And all you FBAs are trying to do is just slice up the illegal pie and saying only foundational Black Americans who may or may not qualify. Did you do the great 8 grandparent challenge, great grandparent challenge? Do you know all of your 8? Do you know your 16? Right? No. You know your great great grandma, Miss Susie, Miss Paula, right? Oh, they call her Chica. Or they call her
ad hominems. Come on, man.
And social media.
You gotta do better than that.
Why? Because the Constitution.
I'm trying.
And then I'll pick up at another time, right? Because I have another show on this.
Cook that one too.
That continues, but I want to. Read this
I think he's an Arab tether.
Now the Supreme Court got involved. In 1995. Right? You don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
The Supreme Court, based on another court case earlier, right, made a ruling on racial classifications. The Supreme Court ruled that all racial classifications imposed by the federal government, such as must be subject to strict scrutiny.
Strict
scrutiny is a thing that causes millions in litigation. Right? Because if it falls into context of strict scrutiny,
right,
then it allows the judges, the appeal courts, the to look very detailed into your pleadings.
Okay, which
The
is
most
easy for
rigorous
us.
form of judicial review, very expensive. This means such classifications are only constitutional if they serve a compelling government interest and are narrowly tailored to achieve that interest.
Narrowly tailored. Uh-oh.
The case involved a federal program offering financial incentives to contractors who hired subcontractors considered socially and economically disadvantaged, a status presumed for certain minorities. So that here they didn't directly say it, but the way the strict
Uh-oh.
scrutiny found out
So they didn't say it directly, but he's going to clean it up. Go ahead, man. It's crazy Arab.
that it was presumed for certain racial minorities. Adirondack Contractors, a subcontractor who lost out on a contract despite being the lowest bidder because of these incentives, challenged the programs as unconstitutional. So this contractor challenged, right, the program. He,
Wait, so is he comparing unconstitutional and strict scrutiny? He can't be.
he being the lowest bidder and he was knocked out. The court sided with Adirondack, overruling early practices applying a more lenient review at the federal level. So this guy, this contractor, he didn't get his money. He was the lowest bidder, right? Um, and the people who got the contract were contractors that included this hidden, how can I say, Trojan horse minorities. Summary of City of Richmond versus J.A. Croson that happened earlier. The case dealt with Richmond, Virginia, ordinance requiring at least 30% of city contractors' contract values be awarded to minority business enterprises. J. Croson Company, a contractor, lost business as a result and challenged this ordinance. The Supreme Court found that the set aside was unconstitutional because it was not narrowly tailored and lacked concrete evidence of
Really?
present or past discrimination of the city. They did not plead enough to survive strict
How they got to do with
scrutiny.
us?
The court held that all state and local government race-based affirmative action programs also must meet this standard of strict scrutiny. The decision emphasized that
Yeah, yeah.
societal
One Nation.
discrimination
You said what I
alone
said.
was not enough to justify such a racial set-aside.
Yeah, good point. The Pan
Case
Africans
altering
are
these
up
decisions.
north.
Alderman versus Pena extended the strict scrutiny standards set in Croson, which originally applied to states and localities, to the federal government as well. Since Andoran, no Supreme Court decision has overruled or fundamentally altered this requirement. All race-based affirmative programs by government actors, whether federal, state, or local, are still subject to strict scrutiny. While subsequent Supreme Court
Right,
cases have
Crystal.
continued to refine and apply strict scrutiny, notably in the area of education, such as Gutter versus Bollinger, and more recent decisions, the core strict scrutiny requirement from Croson and Andoran remains the controlling doctrine. In summary, Croson established strict scrutiny for state and local programs. You silly, unread FBA leaders,
Okay.
right? You don't know that. Andoran extended the
Nah,
requirements to
we're
all
dumb.
federal government programs. That would include reparations, no, for lineage-based whatever, right? No Supreme Court has reversed or substantially weakened this twin holding. Rather, later cases applied these standards in new settings. So, with that said, um, there is another way to
Oh no.
plead so that cities, states, government, towns, federal agencies can award reparations, but it has to be harm based, not lineage based,
It can't be both.
right? Your leaders,
Idiot.
your FBA leaders, are just not smart enough,
Right. I told you
right?
they're
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 just not
fighting to
smart.
be the leader, right? The new papa. He claimed we got leaders. We said we ain't got leaders, but whatever. They're not smart enough. We need this guy to lead us.
enough to deal with harm
And
rather
I already predicted. I predicted Umar Johnson is going to come to this side. He's going to acknowledge his FBA roots. Watch, probably within 2026, he's going to acknowledge he's FBA, and he's going to try to run for a leader, quote unquote leader of a lineage. And watch, he's going to have a whole bunch of dumb followers claiming he's the leader of FBA. Watch.
than strictly lineage that will survive, that will not survive
So this Arab right here is trying to beat him to it,
strict scrutiny.
and other
So,
folks.
hey, listen, what can I say? I'm gonna leave it here for now.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, he says strict scrutiny pretty much destroyed our claim, right? He says all race based programs must pass it. They must pass strict scrutiny. He says we can't do that. FBAs can't do that. Okay. But what he's mixing up is strict scrutiny is not, it doesn't equate to what's unconstitutional. It just means the program must be narrowly tailored in service of a compelling interest. Okay. But look at this. Reparations can be structured to meet this as repayment for specific state sponsored harm, such as discriminatory land takings, redlining maps, exclusion from Social Security, that's the New Deal, Jim Crow education, segregation. Okay, so if reparations were always impossible under strict scrutiny, then guess what? Japanese American redress, native land settlements, and Holocaust payments would have all failed, and they didn't. You old fool. Okay, so HR 40 calls for a study on reparations, including legal pathways. The Civil Liberties Act 1988, Japanese internment reparations, sets a precedent. Pig 4 versus Glickman, 1999, black farmers won billions for USDA discrimination, and strict scrutiny can be overcome. The Grutter versus Bollinger case, 2003, shows it clearly. Okay, so this Arab is mixing tort law with policy redress law and ignoring decades of legal precedent. Okay, he overstates strict scrutiny as a legal death sentence. He pretends public redress must follow probate court rules. He disregards the congressional and legislative path where legal standing is statutorily defined, not dependent on private lawsuits. Okay, this is a fool. And what I'm gonna do is he has a part two. We're gonna cook that one tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning. All right, family. So once again, you guys pulled up to support the channel. Peace to all y'all. Um, and man, we'll see you tomorrow morning. We went live. Well, how many times today? This is the third one. Yeah, so we're tirelessly. Well, I'm tirelessly putting in work. You guys are tirelessly coming through, supporting, and let's keep it going, man. Let's really signal boost this message. You feel me? Let's redirect a lot of FBAs and haters over here to give us their undivided attention. You feel me? That's the goal. Let's get into some large numbers. Let's bring them over here, and we want all the smoke. All right. You got myself. You got V4 Avengers. You got SLLE 44. You got the Holy FBA Codex TV1. You got X Architect, and whoever else I missed, forgive me. But what I'm trying to say is that we are here, Aspiring Heights. You got folks who really want to get it in with these tethers and white supremacists. So we want them to come, and we're going to address them on the panel. We'll let them talk, but you know, we're going to neutralize all their dumb arguments. All right. So, family, see y'all in the morning.